What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rams Brothers, the pod. I'm your host, Dean, and I'm joined by the other hosts of this show, Nick. And Nick, 49ers week, coming off of 5 straight wins, week 18, the first week 18 ever in the history of the regular season. It's an unprecedented week. It's an unprecedented time. How are you?
I'm good. When I was doing Nick's picks today, I was trying to look at stats for this week, and I was like, how come there are no stats on week 18? And I was like, oh, yeah, it doesn't exist. They do not exist. This is the first time.
Yes, it
And then,
is. Yep.
and then I was just thinking how back when we used to record these podcasts back in the day, we would always make sure that we played the theme music so we would get ready. And now we just like blow by that, and we just hop right in.
It's a different world now, man.
Yeah,
This is
professionalism.
a fourth year of the pod. Yeah, we're trying to be as professional as possible, bring you guys the best form of entertainment available in the Rams world. We're trying.
Ramertainment.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's going to be one of those crazy weeks. I think that we can kind of lay out every potential situation in terms of how the Rams could beat the 49ers or how the 49ers could beat the Rams. I feel like the last game that we previewed, is a weird situation where you're coming off of a Tennessee loss. You had won 4 games prior to that, so they were in a weird situation where some of their inefficiencies have been exploited. Right, the interior offensive line, their inability to come back once they put themselves behind, their ability to put themselves behind and beat themselves, right? So all those kind of things were coming to fruition today. So we'll talk about some reasons why I feel like the Rams are in a better position right now to beat the 49ers than they were back in November. And then we'll kind of get into a little bit of a game preview. Nick, you got something you want to add in here?
I just like the chances of us having a home playoff game and the chances of us being a 5 seed, it like all rides on this week.
It does.
They put themselves in this situation, but it's a pretty good situation to be in. And it's the first year where the 2 seed doesn't get a freaking bye, of course.
Right. Well, second year.
Yeah, well, second year, right. Mm-hmm. And then, you have teams like the Eagles who have clinched a playoff spot. Not that the Rams haven't, but like can like virtually sit their starters and be in the exact same situation. And this is a game that the Rams kind of have to win against a divisional opponent who has owned them. So I just don't feel fantastic heading in the Niners week because you never really can over the last couple of years. Yeah. So I just hope if they beat this team, I have the utmost confidence in them going forward. If they can handsomely take down this Niners team, I think they can. They have a real shot at beating anybody because this is a team that's owned them. And if you can make a statement here and win this game handsomely, you really have a shot going forward.
Well, I mean, I think that's all we really want to see in this game, right? I think we want to see them put together the same kind of game they put together over the last 5 weeks where you've been able to overcome adversity and still win despite mistakes. And even then, I think that the whole episode is really going to be just about the Rams beating themselves, or how the Rams can avoid beating themselves, rather. Because I mean, in the situation that they're currently in, right? I think it's extremely difficult. If you're not the 2 seed, you're not able to run everything through LA. The trip through the playoffs is going to be much more difficult. So I feel like the ability to just kind of set themselves up, put together a clean game, be able to kind of flip the game plan on the 49ers' head, control time of possession, control the line of scrimmage. It's going to put them in a really good position to win not only this game, but it's going to put them in a good position to win games in the playoffs, even if it is on the road, right? Even if you have to travel to Green Bay, you want to be able to put together a game plan where if teams want to say that they want to bully you, they want to beat you at the line of scrimmage, they want to out physical you, you want it to be a body bag game, then be able to show in prime time that you can flip the script with Buck and Aikman on the call. Instead of just being embarrassed in the way that it felt in November, where 3 weeks in a row or 4 weeks in a row, rather, where it just felt like pain and suffering. So I just think they're a different team now. And I think you could kind of jump on that boat a little bit too.
From November, yeah, I think they're a different team. I still think they have the same struggles as the November team. They've definitely improved in areas, but going to sound like a broken record. It's going to come down to what Matthew Stafford can do in these games. And if he's going to give the team 6 points, give them opportunities to score in amazing situations. And if they can avoid that, then they can really I think they have the ability to beat anybody, especially with this defense that is getting rolling at the right time.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
Um, but if you do have Cam Akers and he is Cam Akers like he was last year, that's going to put Stafford at ease and the entire offense. So there's a chance that. But I mean, look, let's not kid ourselves. Sony Michel was doing an amazing job these last couple weeks, and even
Yep.
in November too. So it's not like they didn't have a capable back. It's not like they were just throwing out practice squad guys out there. And Henderson was doing pretty well too. Akers is definitely more of a like a playmaker and like a burster than both of those guys. And if he has that ability again, then we'll be able to see a huge difference. But the struggles continue to be the same, whether it's 16 or 9. It seems like our quarterback has a turnover problem, and yeah,
Right.
I
Well,
just
no,
hope.
I mean, you're not.
Yeah,
I watched the highlights of the Tennessee game back, where I think the mistakes were as egregious as they came. They essentially put themselves back 21-3 in that game, right? And then you're able to kind of fast forward to the Ravens game that we were just at, and the same kind of situation presents itself. But because they're playing complementary football in other phases, their run game, special teams, other players are kind of starting to step up. They're getting healthy. They're able to kind of overcome those mistakes. But I totally agree with you. I feel like the mistakes that they've been making are very much the same as they were in November, but they're doing other things. They're playing complementary football in other phases to be able to overcome those mistakes, even if it is late in the fourth quarter. And I just don't, that's what I want them to be able to avoid, because it's very simplified if you look at it that way. If you could avoid turnovers, you could avoid mistakes early on, and you could play your style of football, you're going to be in a very good position to win throughout the playoffs. And that's the stance that all Rams fans should have right now. I mean, if you're confident in the fact that Stafford can put some of those turnovers, throw them away, forget about making the mistakes early on. If you can put together a consistent offense, your scripted offense, you get up 7-0, 14-0 in this game, and be able to kind of show that you can put it away instead of putting yourself back and then abandoning the run and winning only on explosive plays, or coming back only through Matthew Stafford having happy feet in the pocket and empty. Those are the kind of games like in Tennessee and San Francisco. They're front like third, fourth quarter. Those games are hard to watch. But I mean, I'm going to take you back to November, because I'm going to talk about 4 reasons. I don't know why I didn't do 5. Don't be tough on me on that. 4 reasons why this Rams team right now in January is
let me see if I
positioned
can add a
better
5th reason by the end of
to be.
this.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you. There's my host, my co-host, whatever you want to call yourself. Okay, first reason. Controversy. First reason, the first game of Odell Beckham Jr. and Von Miller, there was clearly a rush to get them onboarded and integrated early on as starters, especially after we heard that Robert Woods tore his ACL November 13th. That news broke. This game was played on November 15th, and Odell Beckham Jr. was signed on November 11th. So, I mean, it's the very first play of this game, if you remember back to the San Francisco game, was designed to go to Odell Beckham Jr. So there was very much of a need, or at least for Sean McVay to be able to show that he's got these 2 new flashy toys, and wants to be able to utilize them in this game, in his first game against San Francisco. And all the while, too, Von Miller's rehabbing his ankle, and Kyle Shanahan's coming up with a game plan to completely neutralize all of our best players. And Kyle Shanahan knew that Von Miller wasn't going to be a massive concern in this game because of the game plan that they'd implemented offensively that we'll touch on again. But essentially, they just let him rush one-on-one, spin, swim, whatever the hell he wants to do or can do, and the ball's already out. And it's safe to say that Odell Beckham Jr. and Von Miller will be much more impactful on Sunday than they were back in November. Can we both agree on that?
Yeah, I mean, they know the system more. They just have a stronger belief in the team now that they have been able to make a presence on it themselves. There are 2 big reasons why we are where we are right now. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think their confidence is definitely higher too.
I
Odell
think that,
feels like I'm
yeah,
this guy that I've been saying I have been, and I've kind of been trapped away on this Browns team. And look, I almost have the same amount of touchdowns I've had in three seasons over there.
yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you. And the difference too, like with brothers, when you come together and you start winning after a couple of weeks, right? That progress of being friends and getting close kind of expedites itself a little bit, right? Because you're winning, you're putting yourself in a better situation, and you're coming closer together because of it. And I think we're kind of seeing that a little bit with the leadership between Von Miller, Odell Beckham Jr., and the entire rest of the roster. I think the defense is kind of starting to form an identity around Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Greg Gaines, and their pass rush, which is where they wanted to be. And then you play complementary football with Ramsey and all their defensive backs, and things kind of come together. But number two, where they were coming off of a game where we talked about the Titans, where they kind of essentially laid out a blueprint on how to beat us at the time. And that Titans game was a little bit of an eye-opener for Rams fans. I know, Nick, you were at this game. I'm sure the emotions in that stadium were very off. But we thought we had an 8-1 record locked up. And we were like, oh, we're going back to 2018. We're going to be 8-1. We heard Derrick Henry was going to be out for the foreseeable future because he broke his leg, or his foot rather. And the Rams were coming off a 4-game winning streak against Seattle, the Giants, the Lions, and the Texans, where they could essentially do no wrong, right? We felt like they were winning despite some inconsistency in all three phases because they were so explosive. And the Titans, however, they were spotted 14 points by Matthew Stafford. And then they exposed our interior offensive line. They controlled the clock with the lead. They worked away from Ramsey and Donald, and they owned the short passing game. They forced the Rams to defend every single inch of the field, Belichickian style. And they also did something that no one else really had done to that point in the season after 8-9 weeks. They let the Rams beat themselves. They let Matthew Stafford beat themselves. So what do you have to say on that?
Yeah, I mean, they absolutely were just like, yo, you're going to fold. We're going to lay out this game plan that's going to tell you exactly how you're going to fold. And then I also think we were kind of a little overhyped at that point, because if you look at the teams that they had just beat, Seahawks would seem like a strong team, ended up really not being one this year. Giants, Lions, Texans, like those last three are just absolute poverty. So they were really due for a loss. And they were playing like cocky. You know what I mean? They were particularly Stafford. And I guess McVay's play calling as well. So like that was kind of like a punch in the face that they needed. They didn't need the next two punches in the gut though with the next two losses. They should have adjusted then, but they have since adjusted since. And I think in that Tennessee game, to your next point that you're going to talk about, the defense really stepped up and actually kept them in that game throughout the entire time. It's just the offense was just so they were jumpy. They felt like they were impatient and they like had to get down the field fast. When really, if they would have just run their game plan, they probably would have been able to beat that team, because Tennessee really had nothing on offense and they didn't really need it.
No, you're so right. I literally just watched the game back, and my thought was, in the first quarter, I think the score was 0-0. They were fine. They were marching down the field, or I think it was actually 3-0 in favor of the Rams. And they were running a sound offense, right? Cooper Kupp was open in space. Robert Woods was open underneath. Henderson was getting carries early on. Then you saw Sony Michel in the passing game. Like, the offense was put together in that game. But then once they started to fall behind, Stafford made the mistake, and they had to be one-dimensional. So the defense, talking about the defense, number three, the adjustments by Raheem Morris. I feel like I'm seeing Jalen Ramsey less in the star. I feel like they're also better prepared at the line of scrimmage, right? More stunts, more intricate blitz packages. They're getting more pressure. They're getting better at playing gap and a half and stopping the run. I remember when Ryan Clark and Dan Orlovsky, they were on ESPN, they were breaking down the film, and they noted how San Francisco likes to run out of 11 personnel. But they'll just bunch Juszczyk or Ayuk next to Debo or Kittle, and then they'll use pre-snap motion. Again, we talked about this 2 months ago. It forces Ramsey to communicate, then make an adjustment in their coverage. And all San Francisco is trying to do is give you multiple looks out of one single personnel grouping, and then two, create as many mismatches and favorable matchups as possible so that Jimmy G has 3 or 4 options within a 3-second span, or 2.3 seconds. Figuring out ways to counter those mismatches, though, is what the Rams defense is going to have to do. And what they've been able to do in the last 5 weeks, that's going to be a key to winning this game. Rolling out personnel groupings and catering that to preventing the short passing game, which eventually leads to a collapsed pocket. I mean, if Jimmy G isn't getting the ball out in record time, we're going to be just fine in this game. Jimmy G, 2.3 seconds between snaps and release, the speediest single game showing in the NFL this season, according to NFL Next Gen stats. Like, that was his game. Was really to get the ball as quick as possible.
So Jimmy G hasn't practiced all week.
True.
Do you think we're going to get him?
From what I read in terms of Kyle Shanahan, the way he's handling the media, I feel like he wants to go Garoppolo. I mean, you they don't want to go dual. I mean, I had that earlier on in the season. They went with Garoppolo. I think they were both dealing with injuries, and then Garoppolo won out. If Jimmy G could play, he's going to play. But right now, I think Kyle Shanahan's going to kind of show the hand of, hey, look, we have two completely different quarterbacks. So even if Jimmy G does come out for a series, we're going to give you a complete different set of looks. I was looking at the next gen stats and the play chart, the passing chart for Lance versus Garoppolo. Lance will take every shot that's available. Jimmy G will not take a single shot. So, I mean, from a mechanical perspective, from the way their mobility in the pocket, the way that they're built, they're just completely different. So I think the game plan is let's show the hand of we could play both, and Jimmy G is going to be our guy. I mean, unless he can't throw the ball. I mean, unless that ligament's going to prevent him from throwing without pain.
Yeah, and it's just more reason as to why they should be able to beat him, really.
I agree. And it's a game where you're like, oh, well, maybe injury, COVID won't play a factor, but this is their starting quarterback.
You're either playing a injured Garoppolo, who, they drafted his replacement last year, or you're playing a rookie in like his third start ever fighting for a playoff spot. So, and he's like one of those like happy feet guys, like Kyler or Russ. I was going to say Skyler. Kyler, Skyler, Taser, Azer, all kinds of Azers.
Combine the two of them.
He's played, but yeah, I mean, our defense has shown that they can do a good job of really containing that and stopping that. So,
yeah, I mean, Jimmy G's 5-0 against the Rams lifetime. So I'll take Trey Lance. If you're going to give me an option, give me Trey Lance. But I think we're going to get Jimmy G in this game. So again, just kind of going off of point 3 too. They successfully, what they did with their supporting cast, rather, they moved everybody in the direction of Ramsey, and then they would move players away from Ramsey and use that player as their primary pass catcher. And whoever that was, whether it was Debo, it was Kittle, it was Ayuk, they did the same thing with Aaron Donald when they would just motion extra blockers and then they would counter or just run away from him. So essentially, they'll let him beat you. So this is the game plan for Kyle Shanahan for Aaron Donald. Let him beat you, and then by the time he does beat you, be by him. That's it. I mean, not a lot of coaches can think that simplistic, but that's kind of the game plan that Kyle Shanahan rolls out against Aaron Donald to neutralize our two best players. And Jalen Ramsey, if he's not being strictly used in the star position, which is a good sign for Rams fans, I haven't seen him blitz in like 6 weeks. Have you?
And I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I love that because we were like, what is he doing? He'd like get him on the star receiver, get him on a receiver, get him on Kittle. Yep. And I know it's not that simple, but that's huge when you're able to do that.
No, I agree. And I mean, Aaron Donald's been playing as good a football as he's ever been playing. And that's due to a better game plan up front and an improved unit, right? I feel like Greg Gaines is playing well. Ashawn's playing well. Copeland's playing well. Hollins and Obo are also coming in terms of rotation and getting some breathers for Floyd and Von Miller. Like, I just feel like they have so much personnel up front that this is the position, good defensive lines, good teams that could win at the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball can win in the playoffs. So I think that's kind of the trajectory they're going towards. And then number 4, Sony Michel. He wasn't the primary ball carrier back in November. The Rams weren't necessarily also trying to beat you on the ground. That just wasn't their game plan, even if that's what the game called for at the time. That's not what they wanted to do. Even if the matchup was favoring the run, I mean, even in early, it's different against bad teams, right? I mean, you could still kind of take shots and get away with things. But I mean, you really couldn't establish any sort of run game when you fall behind. And essentially the same thing happened against San Francisco as it did in Tennessee. I just feel like Sony Michel right now is a primary guy. You don't have to focus on Darrell Henderson. Maybe you get a little bit of Cam Akers, who is definitely an upgrade over Darrell Henderson. I don't know what you're going to get out of him. I think the prediction on Cam Akers is about as, out from a different galaxy as you can pull it. It's just going to be random. I mean, you got no spreads, no lines on him. So it's got to be Sony Michel. I mean, unless you think otherwise.
I think Cam's probably in like decoy packages. That's my guess.
I mean, any kind of real game snap, any real time speed that he's in is going to be good, right? I mean, even like you said, if it's just for a decoy, if he's just running a route, if he's pass blocking,
yeah,
that's all good stuff. So we'll kind of monitor that. But Sony Michel is my guy. I think he's a veteran. Yeah. He's proven. He won a Super Bowl. That's who you want carrying the ball.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? What? Go ahead. What do you
I
have to
mean,
say?
I loved what Cam did last year, and he would add like we wouldn't even have Sony if Cam wasn't hurt. So I feel like their record could have been so much bigger because I think McVay would panic less if he had that like Cam Akers who was kind of like, when McVay was at his best, he had Todd Gurley.
Yep.
So like he's not forced to panic as much because he has a running back that can burst. So I love Sony. And if he is the primary ball carrier, I'm not going to be upset. But I mean, like now is the time to get Cam going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
give him a couple snaps. I want to see him to touch the ball. If he's ready, and you can have him next week in the playoffs, do it.
I don't disagree with you, dude. I think the thing with Cam Akers, like when you miss however many weeks, it's been what, 19 weeks of games, 18 weeks of football, plus the recovery, the rehab, like the game speed is it's going to be tough to adjust. I mean, he's young
Right.
enough. I think
That's why.
he'll be able to do it. But yeah, I mean, you go Sony Michelle, then you sprinkle in Cam Akers, they're going to be dynamic. So I mean, I'm not saying you specifically have to go to Michelle all the time. If Cam Akers is ready to go, yeah, unleash him, get him ready for the playoffs for sure.
I'll give you the
I
fifth
agree.
reason right now too.
Okay, let's do it.
Fifth reason why they'll win and why. Wait, what was it? What was the thing?
Let me go back up. Reasons why this Rams team is better positioned now to beat the 49ers.
Oh yeah, I got it right here. Ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Number 5, fifth reason. Nick's picked reasons. Blew out at home.
Oh, you're a fan of the blue out.
The Ramley, baby. I want to see a win in those freaking blue on blue jerseys because I don't think we've seen one yet. I think they were like 0 and like 5 whenever they wear them.
They're going to do it. I think they're going to go blue and bone pants.
Well, I like that too, but I want to see the blue on blue because that's one of my favorites.
Well, how about blue and royal?
Isn't that blue and blue?
No, yeah, right. Duh. Blue and soul. I'm sorry.
That's blue out, royal, baby. All blue. Yes. This isn't going to cut it.
That's pretty cool.
We need blue and blue.
That's pretty cool. These damn uniforms, man. It feels like every week somebody's tweeting about the uniforms, but it's fun. It is fun. I like them.
The blue uniforms are definitely the worst because I hate the fading color.
I know. Well, shout out to Rich and Jordan too, who keep standings of our records within specific uniforms, which I think is funny.
And shout out to Demoff for retweeting us this week.
Yeah, shout out
the guy who for like the start of last season, like during the pandemic when I was just like adamant about how much I hated the whole redesign and everything. I was just like, you're doing a terrible job. You're not listening to fans. And then he gives us a retweet. I don't know if he listens to us. Probably not. I would say no.
Well, here's the thing. That was you on.
What if he's like listening right now? He's like, I do listen.
I think Demoff is smart enough to separate Rams Brothers, the account, Twitter account,
and then, me,
and then Nick's page. Yeah. So I don't know, but I think most fans are able to.
Well, I mean, like, I'm not going to wear any merch that has the LA logo. I said it. I'm not going to wear any of it until they win a Super Bowl and it says.
Oh, but that was such a falsity. You've been rocking everything.
No, not really. I don't have a hat with the LA on it. I only have the Rams head.
You got plenty of new gear. You could not help.
I have so many jerseys. Yeah, I got a freaking Woods Bone jersey number 17.
Couldn't help ourselves. The redesign was a hit. It was a hit. I'll tell you what, though, if we win the Super Bowl in these uniforms, or if we win the NFC Championship, these uniforms are going to become emblematic of, or whatever the terminology is.
LA culture, everything.
Going to be symbolic of winning, right, and being a part of this era and post-pandemic and overcoming COVID and adversity and star power and all the kind of craziness, the swirl that's been going on this year. So
I think they have what it takes definitely to win 2 playoff games. After that, I don't know. All bets are off.
Okay. Yeah, I think they're good. I think they're going all the way. I think
we're bias, good. Maybe.
What's that?
A little bias out of you, maybe?
No.
Nope, because no bias.
Because it's as simple as you eliminate 2 or 3 mistakes early on in the game,
2 or 3
Two.
giant
Say
mistakes from the
you
most
shrink.
important player on the field.
I agree. I agree
Like
with you
that's
completely.
not easy.
All of your concerns for Matthew Stafford, I share them with you as well, and I back you. But at the same time, you shrink 3 mistakes to 1, and that mistake happens in the first quarter and doesn't happen again throughout the rest of the game. There's a lot of football left to be played. I have confidence in them to rally from behind. I have confidence in them to play with the lead. But everything could kind of be thrown out the window when you play the 49ers. Let's talk about what's going to happen in this game against the 49ers, week 18. The body bag game. What are your thoughts initially when you hear George Kittle talk about it being a body bag game? Do you feel like the
Well, I mean,
49ers are
clearly,
the
like,
punks of the NFC West?
they couldn't be happier to end the season with a must-win game against us. That is based on what all the players are saying. Who is it that's saying he doesn't know who Aaron Donald is?
Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, wow, it's Deebo.
Nick doesn't know who Deebo Samuel is. How about that?
I do, but I
No,
just
I
didn't know it
but
was him that was saying
I know,
that.
he's flipping.
No, yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. But I like what you did. But I don't love the energy that they are presenting, because it's just cockiness, and it's like, oh yeah, no, we are stronger than these guys. I mean, I hope McVay is just like posting that stuff on the wall. It's like, yeah, we're not saying anything. These guys think that they can beat us. Like, look at this. He's saying he doesn't know who you are, Donald.
Right.
Like destroy Garoppolo. But they're gonna, like, if Garoppolo's out there, they're gonna have the same plan where it's just like get the ball out fast. So it's there's nothing Donald can really do in that situation.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they can realize that.
Well, there's something the defensive backs can do about
right,
it.
Right. But
Yeah.
not Donald particularly, because his job is to get the quarterback. Quarterback's got the ball out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's like, what if you don't have Ramsey in the star? I think they've learned from Raheem Morris has learned from having Troy Reader in a zone, which forces him to like react and then have to keep his eyes on multiple players. And then if one of those players is George Kittle in the red zone, that's probably going to be a bad idea. So I feel like they've been able to kind of counter the mismatch. Ramsey's and the defensive backs are going to be able to handle that. Countering the mismatches starts with them. So, for example, you could show zone in pre-snap, right? You can give a look of a zone in pre-snap, and then you can collapse your safety without getting overly technical or anything. But you could show one look during one pre-snap, and then switch to another to confuse the shit out of Garoppolo. Once the snap happens and the play is live, you switch your formation, you shift players, and it confuses the shit out of the quarterback. This happens with Tom Brady still. I mean, in year 44 of his life, he's still confused by defensive backs when the defensive coordinator is sharp enough to be able to shift things and reposition players after the snap happens. It's not something that the Rams defensive backs are incapable of doing, but if they can, they could press, they can get up on the line and be prepared for the short passing game. They're going to be really good in this game. And Aaron Donald's going to have all Aaron Donald needs is another eighth of a second. You give Aaron Donald 3 seconds opposed to 2.3, Donald closes. So that's how close it's going to be. I feel like just for starters, a body bag game. What does that mean? To me, when I heard George Kittle just kind of talk about it being a body bag game, to me, I'm thinking to myself, that's the only way they could beat you. That's why they want it to be a body bag game. That's why they want it to be overly physical, because that's how they know they can specifically beat the Rams. And that's how they know specifically they can beat teams in the trenches. They've done it all throughout the season. If they're able to possess the ball for over 33, 34 minutes, they're going to go right at you. They're going to run the ball, control the clock, and try to beat you that way. So that's how they prefer to win. They're one of the rare teams in the league that prefer to win that way, which is why they're 9-7.
Yeah.
So,
they're really, like, outside of us, what's their record against the NFC? It's like 5-17 or something.
500.
Yeah, it's like well, it's not 5-17, but it's low.
Yeah.
But like against us, they play their best game. It's just so weird how Shanahan just owns McVay like that.
It is. It's weird.
But yeah, I mean,
talk about it until it's over.
Let's get into like the nitty gritty of like how they can sneak into the playoffs. So obviously, it's a must win for them. It's a win and they're in. Saints loss or tie to the Falcons would also put the Niners in the playoffs.
Yep.
But the games will be playing at the exact same time. Shanahan's going to have somebody that's telling him the score in his ear if the Falcons are able to take down the Saints, which they were earlier this year. So it's not like a total that easily could happen.
Saints
I'm fine
are
with them
too. Saints are 3.5.
Mm. And we'll get into that in Nick's picks because I found an amazing stat about teams that are already out of the playoffs playing a spoiler game. But since the game will be played simultaneously, yeah, I mean, Shanahan, they're not really going to be paying attention too much. And a 49ers tie with the Rams will also clinch a playoff spot. So, this game goes into OT, they're probably going to be trying to win, but if they can hold the ball and just knee on it, they don't care. You know what I mean?
Hey, I agree. No,
I wouldn't either. I would see that as a win. I mean, and the Rams, I mean, a tie kind of works for everybody because
no, I can't say. Okay, so I disagree. I can't say a tie would be a win, but anything to be able to keep the.
Well, no, I mean, then either way, we won the West. Even if the Cardinals win, I'm pretty sure because we have that tie over them.
I don't know what the kind of implication that would have on the 2 seed. Does that knock us down to the 3 seed if we tie, right? So that's why I don't want to of course, worst case scenario as it is, I don't know.
Right. I mean, I guess it would depend on what the Bucks and what the
I don't try not to take into the playoff considerations if a tie were to happen because it's 0.003% chance that a tie happens on first tie ever week 18 would happen in this game. Who the hell knows?
That would be some week 18 malarkey though.
It's a scoregami. No, I don't know. 49ers defensive backs in this game.
I don't know what that means.
Keeping you on your toes. 49ers defensive backs and Jimmy Ward, K'Wan Williams, Ambry Thomas, Dante Johnson, and Diomorde Lenoir all landed. Sorry for butchering your name, Diomorde. Looks like Dumbledore. All landed on the reserve COVID-19 list earlier this week. But Thomas was activated on Friday, and the team has been developing optimism internally that a handful of these players will be able to clear protocol and return in time for Sunday's game. No surprise there. The player to keep your eye on is Trent Williams, left tackle for the 49ers, who has missed practice all week and has been rehabbing his injured elbow. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of optimism in terms of San Francisco media that he's going to be able to play in this game, but my feeling is that it's not a game that you're going to want to miss. And it's not a game where if your quarterback has a bad thumb, you want your left tackle to be on the bench. So in a game where it feels like maybe, COVID won't be taken into consideration, injuries won't be taken into consideration. I mean, it's their starting quarterback, their starting left tackle, and then almost all of their defense backs could be held out. I mean, I'd say upwards of 85% of these guys are going to play. But I mean, for example, Jimmy Ward gets held back and doesn't clear COVID protocols. That's a massive vacancy on defense that the Rams could take advantage of. Same thing with Trent Williams. Von Miller up against a backup left tackle is a good sign. That's what we want. So, but then again, I mean, you're talking about preparing for Jimmy G and Trey Lance, which is two guys I talked about earlier, couldn't be more different. And I feel like the Rams are, comes to San Francisco, right? The little things in this game could help them win. The special teams unit has been much better. Right, San Francisco's got a 26th ranked special teams unit right now. So you could potentially get one back. I remember the embarrassing fake field goal attempt that blew up in our faces the last time we played them. Oh. An opportunity to get one over on San Francisco, maybe bring a punt back, bring a kick back, or block a punt or something that will help change the tide in this game. So I'm looking for that, as well as the ability.
Special teams has definitely stepped it up in recent memory too. I would not be surprised if there is a beautiful Hecker punt on the one, or like a return to start the game that reaches midfield or something. So
yeah, I mean, Hecker's been better. Matt Gay missed a kick last week, but it was a 56-yarder outdoor. We got home field. If we get home field advantage in the playoffs, Matt Gay is going to be a weapon. It's going to be a weapon. I like our special teams unit. I think we've been starting to get it together, and this is the month you want to get it together in. So we could get one over on that. I think third down and fourth down. The 49ers in November, they converted 9 of 15 third and fourth downs against us. And because of that, they earned 44 rushing attempts. All they did was essentially ball hog us into submission. Complimentary football bought the 49ers 39 total minutes of possession. I mean, that's exactly what Kyle Shanahan wants to be able to do to you, as we talked about. In the games where the 49ers win, every single game, you go look back. I mean, it's even early on in the season in September, they've been able to possess the ball 35, 36, 37 minutes and have been able to control the clock. And their running backs have been prepared to carry the load. Deebo Samuel has averaged like 6.5 yards per carry. They're able to gash you because they're throwing so much at you on the ground. Plus, they're throwing so much at you from a pre-snap perspective. They're bunching, they're spreading. They'll go in empty, and then they'll rotate Deebo into the backfield. They throw it at you just by going in one single personnel grouping. And even if they switch to 12, 13 personnel, they want to get more tight ends on the field. They want to get another running back on the field. They get more and more difficult to stop as they get deeper into a game, right? Because it wears the defense down. Running backs get going. Deebo gets going, and they're just tough to stop. So I think that's going to be the biggest key in this game is because, Kyle Shanahan likes to get you into favorable third and short situations, right? So 3rd and 4, they were converting. 4th and 2, they converted. 3rd and 3, they converted. If you could prevent them from converting on some of those short down plays, you get a hand up at the line of scrimmage, which may be, a recipe to it. You get a hand up at the line of scrimmage, you're getting an extra second of pressure because you're pressing corners. These are little things that I think are going to help the Rams to win this game. So I have confidence. I think I've seen enough in the last 5 games from the offense and defense and special teams to believe that they're going to win this game. I'm not some kind of asinine fan that has blind faith. I just feel like what we've seen, going off of not only just a recency bias, but the breed, the identity of football that they put together in this past month has given me a lot of confidence moving forward. This is the big one, Nick. This is the playoffs before the playoffs.
Yeah.
Are you ready to go?
For my picks?
Yeah, end the game.
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm ready when you are.
All right, let's do it.
Go right into the picks?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so here's the stat that I kind of alluded to earlier. And before we get into the picks, I myself am doing dry January this year, so I won't be drinking or smoking or anything. But February 1st, I'm going to go to Golden Road Brewery. It's our official beer partner, and they produce the incredible Rams House Blonde Ale on top of many great beers. So go down to Golden Road Brewery on February 1st. When the Rams are in the Super Bowl, I will be blackout. And then also TickPick, our newest sponsor, friends and family who are buying Rams or Chargers tickets or concert tickets, etc. Use TickPick. Dean, why don't you flash it on the screen for everybody?
Yeah, you got it, bro.
You get your tickets fast and secure, and you don't have to worry about any of those fees. Everywhere else hits you with just like Ticketmaster just hits you with just dumb fees. Don't even go there anymore. Go to tickpick.com/Rams Brothers. You'll thank us later when you're dealing with when you're not dealing with any fees or issues when you're buying tickets to the big game.
Yeah,
so that's www.tickpick.com/Rams Brothers.
Pricing looks like it's starting to drop a little bit. I don't know if that's COVID related or just that it's a week 18 game.
Yeah, I had some
things happen.
Some positive scares recently, just with people I know. So I won't be able to attend the game. But hopefully those that are going are staying safe and healthy and are wearing blue. But let's get into Nick's picks because there's some really cool stuff that I read this week.
Cool.
So in spoiler games, when one team has already made it into the playoffs and the other team is pretty much just playing for pride, the team playing for pride is 95-50 against the spread. So that team that is playing just to kind of spoil, essentially, like a spot or something, is amazing. So with that in mind, you have Kansas City and Denver in Denver, right? Spread is +11. Hammer the Broncos is my call.
To cover?
Broncos +11 to cover. Yeah.
Deal.
That's number one. And we're going to keep that stat in the back of our mind. Another one would be Packers at Lions. Lions get Goff back, and Rodgers is playing, and the spread is +3. That's like a don't touch to me. I don't want to +3. What?
Who the hell knows what's going to happen in that game?
And then you got Colts Jags. Jags money or Colts money line is -100. Jags are +15. I'm taking Jags plus 15.
Okay.
Keep the stat. The Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2015.
Oh my God.
It's another amazing stat. I did my homework this week. So we have Broncos and Jags. Broncos plus 11, Jags plus 15. And then there's the Washington football team versus the New York Giants. That's a game that I'm not going to touch.
No.
That is the ugliest game of the
Even
week.
going to watch.
Ugliest game of the week.
Nobody's even gonna watch that.
No, sorry, not Browns. Bears, Vikings. This is just a pride game. Neither of these teams really have anything to prove. But I like Vikings minus 4.5. Yeah,
Okay.
I like Kirk Cousins. I like this Viking team. I think they were so much better.
You know what? I like that too because it's going to be Zimmer's last game.
Yeah, it's Zimmer's last game, and it's in Minnesota, and it's only 4.5 for the Vikings. I think they were such a better team. They had a lot of really close losses. They were like a field goal away in that Cardinals game from winning. And if you give them that one win, they're fighting for a playoff spot here. So they had some really unfortunate luck. The first game against the Bengals, first game of the season, they called a fumble that wasn't a fumble on Cook. He was down. So I think they're going to be playing hard. I'm taking Vikings minus 4.5. So we have only one more. We're only doing 4 picks. We got Denver plus 11, Jacksonville plus 15, Vikings minus 4.5. And then the final play is going to be Steelers money line on Big Ben's last game. Steelers plus 155 money line.
Okay.
I
like it.
Because if somehow miracles happen, the Jags beat the Colts and the Steelers win this game, they're in the playoffs.
Wow.
They're playing Kansas City, so they're out the first round, but they're in the playoffs.
What are the implications for the Colts, though? Like, I don't think they're going to be able to afford to lose that game either for seeding.
No, I mean, obviously they have to win. If they don't win, they're not in.
Right.
So,
right. The Steelers don't deserve it.
No, but I think they deserve this final win with Ben.
Okay. Nothing on the Rams game, huh?
Nothing on the Rams game, but let me just throw this little stat at you. Knicks picks this year had the best year ever. Our win percentage was 62.
That's pretty
good. And that's just straight wins, not units. Units would be higher because I like a lot of money line bets. And the money line is always like higher than the spread. So our units versus like up versus down was great this year. So we had a really good year Knicks picks. We're not going to go into the playoffs doing Knicks picks anymore unless I feel really good. I mean, maybe I'll throw in like one play at the end of a Thursday Friday episode.
TBD.
Yeah, TBD. But let's just run it back. Steelers money line, Denver plus 11, Jacksonville plus 15.
Okay.
And Minnesota minus 4.5.
Wow.
Didn't have a perfect week yet this year. We went 4-1 a lot of times, but we didn't have that perfect week. So maybe this is it.
Cool. You know what? Week 18 would be the perfect week to have it. The final week of the regular season. And it's going to be weird. And like you said, that stat plays in your favor. You did your homework. I think that'll work. I have 2 bets for you. It's not going to be related to the spread or the money line in the Rams 49ers game, but I really like Deebo Samuel to go over on rushing yards. I think he's at like 24 and a half, 25. And then Cooper Kupp, if you could same game parlay that, he was at like 125 earlier this week. He's down he's down to 114. And they're both minus 115. So you probably same game parlay that and get him at like 250 or 300 plus 250.
Add a little Rams money line in there, and then you're good. And OBJ anytime touchdown scorer.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, I don't know. I think like I said earlier in the week on Twitter, I want to throw some money towards Cooper Kupp, trying to go on the over and break the record, because if he does hit the over and breaks the record, double the money for Rams fans. I think he's 135, 136 yards away from breaking the all-time record of receiving yards, and I think it's on less pass attempts was one of the context stats that I read. I think Stafford and Calvin Johnson threw like 750 pass attempts, which is how he broke the record. And then I think the Rams have only ran like 605 or something like that. A stat could be a little bit incorrect, but something along
Stafford's
those
talking
lines.
about how he's lucky playing with both those guys. How about you bring one of those guys to glory for once, huh?
Hey,
One time, win him a playoff game. Let's see it. Come on,
I,
Stafford.
I think it's going to happen.
It better.
Starts with this
If
weekend.
it doesn't happen, I'm just reverting back to my Grinch self with
Oh
Stafford.
man, it's going to be so ugly if that happens. Let's not put that out there, though. I thought we talked about this last episode.
I'm not putting it out there. I'm just saying.
All right. Yeah, no, I feel you. I'll be the same way, dude. I mean, we probably
Yeah,
won't talk to
all
each other
Rams
for a
fans
month.
will. They'll come to my corner, and then I'll be like, "See, you can be miserable like me."
For the amount of people that just sometimes will just say, "I need to take a break from social media or Twitter like that," I think that'll be all of Rams Twitter. If we get knocked down the wild card round, we're all effed, every single one of us. But I'm not putting that out there. I have confidence. Like you heard me 4 or 5 minutes ago. I have faith. So,
but you gotta have faith. The faith.
Yeah, you do, man. You do. That's what football is all about. And they're coming together at the right time. They got a good team. So optimism's to be had. All right, guys. Niners tomorrow. We're about 24 hours away from the Niners game. So get your listening in. Like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you want. Just don't bash us. It'll bring our overall review rating down.
Yeah, if you can review us on Apple iTunes, whatever it is, that would be great.
Yeah,
I love
Apple Pods.
I read them all, and my friends read them all too. It's funny. My friends are like,
Nick's friends will just text them to him and I when they find a new one, and they'll say, "No, Dean, what's going on with Nick?" or "Nick, what's going on with Dean?" I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. But Apple Podcast reviews certainly help us out. So, 5 stars, not 1 star, 5 stars. We're 5-star men.
I'm a 5-star man. So thank you guys.
feel
Let's
like
get this
sometimes I'm
victory.
4.5.
Hopefully we can do another podcast after they win. Yeah. Take care. Go Rams,
Cool.
guys. Everybody stay
Go
safe
Rams.
and healthy out there. Horns
Cheers.
up.
Peace.